Finally, the state bar is admitting that they received almost 200 complaints since 1983 in regards to Tom Girardi and his clients and not doing what he was supposed to do as their attorney. It's been a while since we talked about Tom Girardi and his entire mess. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So it's been a long time since we talked about the legal drama surrounding Tom Girardi specifically. I remember it wasn't too long ago that we were going through the whole auction, all the items from the Girardi Keys law firm. Oh, good times. And although Erika Girardi has faced a lot of criticism because of being a public figure and being on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we have never forgotten that her husband, Tom Girardi, is the real criminal here. So as you know, Tom Girardi has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. However, there's still been legal things happening all around him, including the partners of his firm, Girardi Keys. So before we get into what the LA Times is saying in regards to the California bar and how they dropped the ball for decades, intentionally, allegedly, let's get into what Emily D. Baker was tweeting yesterday. And I was liking those tweets because I was like, uh-oh, what's this about? And it reminded me that he was not the only one. There's no way that Tom Girardi could get away with doing what he was doing, stealing millions of dollars from his clients' victims for this long without some sort of support on many different levels, even outside of the Girardi Keys law firm. So here's an update from our girl, Emily Z. Baker. So she wrote this in a couple of tweets yesterday. She says, Girardi's attorney slammed by the court. She says, Girardi's conduct is unquestionably criminal. Judge Durkin had strong language for former Girardi Keys attorneys David Lira, Girardi's son-in-law, and Keith Griffin. So Emily continues, she says, last December, the court held days of hearings on Jay Edelson's motion to show cause. Yesterday, the court ruled and did not hold the attorneys in contempt or sanction them because Edelson PC's insurance had already paid the Lion Air clients. No, Diana Jenkins didn't pay these victims. Thank you for Emily, because she understands we need this sort of background in regards to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So she continues, she says, the court is clearly appalled with Girardi Keys being run like a Ponzi scheme, something I pondered in my earliest coverage of this case in 2020. The court elaborated at length to help unwind the Girardi fraud and identify those responsible. The court stated that the letters to the clients regarding the settlement funds contained outrageous lies, and that those letters were shared with Griffin and Lira, further stating the attorneys knew from the start that Girardi didn't pay clients when he was supposed to. Lira, a signatory on the account that client funds would have been sent to in this case, in a footnote, the court states that Lira states his signature was forged on some checks written from the account. Emily says, I have long wondered if Erika's signatures was likewise forged on documents. Very possible. So she continues in a tweet, she's in a quote, Tom Girardi's actions are a stain on the legal profession and due to the international nature of this case, have damaged the reputation of the American legal system. Girardi took advantage of vulnerable people at their most vulnerable moments.
Move your dirty blood clot, you bad-minded witch of your wicked demonic serpent, you.
The ruling makes clear that the court believes that Lira and Griffin not only knew what Tom was doing, but were covering for him. While Erika is the most public figure, the behavior of these attorneys cannot be overlooked. They were in a position to stop Girardi and didn't. Which is a perfect segue to talk about this LA Times article. Yes, I read the full article. It wasn't that long. Ladies of Beverly Hills, you can read it too. So apparently the Times sued the California bar. I'm surmising from the article. in order to get this information about the hundreds of complaints that were filed against Tom Girardi over decades. So according to the LA Times article, they said this: the State Bar of California received over 205 complaints against the Los Angeles legal legend Tom Girardi, alleging he misappropriated settlement money, abandoned clients, and committed other serious ethical violations over the course of a 4-decade career. This was disclosed Thursday in response to a lawsuit brought by The Times. Despite the drumbeat of concerns that began in 1982, I got the year wrong, but it was the 80s, the State Bar took no public action against Girardi until his Wilshire Boulevard firm collapsed 2 years ago. But listen to this. This is important. So I hope you grab the snack. If not, pause me, then come back. So they say this in the article. As his stature as a trial attorney and political power broker grew, officials closed scores of complaints against him without doing any investigation and rejected dozens of others for, quote, insufficient evidence. The record shows in 13 cases where the agency did act against Girardi, it used, quote, non-public measures, such as a warning letter that left his law license and reputation in the legal community unblemished. Girardi was suspended from the practice of law in March of 2021 after all of this imploded. He was just suspended, all right? And finally disbarred by the state Supreme Court in July. Now he's 83, as you know, and has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. There has been speculation that they don't believe it. There has also been speculation that he knows so much about the brain when it comes to brain injury and fighting for those types of cases that he's been able to fake this, allegedly. No idea, but he's also 83, so there might be some level of, yes, there is decline. Erika has defended him multiple times, saying, I've noticed decline. I was telling everybody and nobody believed me. But again, Tom Girardi could not get away with what he got away with without help. And he had help at every level, it seems. So this is what the State Bar is saying now. They said in a letter accompanying the record release, of course, they had to, the chair of the bar's governing board, Reuben Dern, acknowledged, quote, serious failures by the agency and wrote, there is no excuse being offered here. Girardi caused irreparable harm to hundreds of his clients, and the State Bar could have done more to protect the public. We can never allow something like this to happen again. Here's the thing. I'm kind of concerned that this might be happening already, or it was happening up until everyone exposed Tom Girardi. Who else had gotten away with these complaints? Show us those complaints. And literally, they had to be sued in order for this to be revealed. Shout out to the journalists. Really, shout out to the journalists, because I know there are plenty of attorneys, even not necessarily located in California and aren't governed under the California bar, that were concerned to even bring this up, to even make this a case, except Jay Edelson. Jay Edelson was one of those brave attorneys saying, no, the State Bar has some liability here. The State Bar has some responsibility here. And now it's been exposed. Guys, I wanted to do a quick video just to talk about this because it's been a long time. And now that we have a little bit more clear, concrete answers, that Tom Girardi had over 205 complaints at the California State Bar and they did nothing, and now they're admitting guilt. Let's continue this conversation in the comments section. I want to know your reaction to this news and what do you think needs to happen going forward. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.